Hey everyone, today is a very happy day. Claude 3.5 Sonnet was announced. It seems to outperform the previous Claude 3 Opus as well as any other model while being twice the speed. You can actually view its accuracy on some tests, especially in coding. It even beats GPT-4o. But we're going to play around with it in the chat. We're going to try to get it to analyze this complex chart to see how its vision have progressed. And we're going to try out this new artifact option, which you can turn on by clicking on your profile and going to a feature preview and turning it on. So we're going to try to build a tower defense game with it. We will also test it against three which is very difficult logic problems to see how well it does in its reasoning. I added a new problem called Alice in Wonderland problem. This is a very simple problem, but LLM seems to fail. The best was 4 out of 24 correct answers for GPT-4, but the previous most difficult problem, Marcus problem, was the winner there was Opus, previous Opus, with 107 correct out of 120 total combinations. And we're going to actually take a look at the code that runs it. And then we are going to reveal towards the end of the video how Sonnet 3.5 did. We will also implement Cloud 3.5 Sonnet in my autocoder configuration where both the coder and the reviewer is Cloud 3.5. And so far in my testing, it was able to create some incredibly complex canvas animations, as you see right here. So we're going to take a look at this as well. All the code files you see here will be available at my Patreon. Link will be in the description. Let's actually begin with the fun stuff. Let's try to create an 8-bit tower defense game. I already asked for a 8-bit tower for a tower defense game. And now I'm going to ask, please also create an enemy, and it's going to write it out. You can actually back out of this and see your previous generations. You can also click on code and see its code. It's currently doing it in as a SVG, but we're going to eventually ask it to turn it into a pie game. So this is what it created for an enemy. Let's ask it, please create another enemy. So now as it's creating, we can back off and see our previous generations as well. And here is another enemy. So now and then right after that, I asked, can you please create a playable tower defense game with these characters, but in pie game, also draw a path. And I copied and pasted it into my IDE cursor, and it hadn't defined a red color, but cursor Copilot fixed that for me. And then we actually is a playable tower defense game along with the health bars for the enemies, but it didn't really use the 8-bit configuration we hope for. Let's say, please use the 8-bit representation, let's say. Yeah, 8-bit representations for the tower and the enemies in Pygame. So now it's rewriting it. It's drawing a path. Okay, it finished it. Let's see how it time around. Let's paste it here and run it. There don't seem to be any issues. Yeah, here we go. Now we recreated those enemies in Pygame, exactly in their 8-bit representation. So this is, you can see that you can build quite iteratively. So let's move on to something more difficult, which is this chart right here, which is very complex. Complexity representations of bacterias, I believe. And based on different metrics. So at first, when I asked the question, what is the SDS complexity of PPS1, you can actually find PPS1 down here, was right here in the middle. And SDS complexity is represented by a filled square. It actually didn't get it. It thought SDS is represented by empty circles. Sorry, it actually thought represented by filled circles, but filled circles is representing SDSD, then I thought maybe it made a mistake and I said STS, not STSD. Then it actually thought those were represented by empty circles. Then this was a mistake, but actually when you look at where those things are, if you look at the filled circles, it roughly corresponds to zero point 0.2 right here. Actually, it's 0.1, but it got pretty close. And even with the next error, when it thought was filled squares, it thought it was zero point 0.7, whereas the filled squares was zero point 0.6, so it got pretty close. So then instead, I asked CR, and it again made a mistake of picking the wrong indicator. But when I actually explained that CR is represented by filled circles connected with broken lines, Then it said it's approximately zero point 0.5. And when we look at CR, which is represented by this right here, right in the middle, it is actually correct, zero point 0.5. So I was very surprised for that. And then when I asked what about for the filled square, it gave the answer again of zero point 0.7, actually conveying quite an understanding. And the filled square is right here. It's a little bit above zero point 0.6. It thought it was zero point 0.7, but its image capabilities definitely have improved. I would like to take a moment to talk about the benefits of becoming a patron. As some of you may know, in the last year and a half, I've spent 3,000 hours, over 300 projects. As a patron, you will have access to all the code files so you can get inspiration and iterate quickly. Another benefit is that you'll have access to all my courses, and my most recent and most proud one, the 1000x MasterClass, teaching what I've learned on how to code fast and efficiently. Also the Streamlit course and the Fast API course. In my Patreon, I also have tiers in which you can connect with me one-on-one. Check those out as well. Now let's move on to the reasoning test. By the way, before we begin with the reasoning test, if you're using Cursor, Claude 3.5 Sonnet is available right away. You can actually use the code with it. We'll try to play around with it as well when we move on to the autocoder section. This reasoning test I've been using to get models testing on 3 difficult word problems, logic problems. First one is a bumper rate car problem. Second is Marcus, and third one is Alice problem. So these are problems that even if you were to rearrange the sentences, the meaning or the question doesn't change. So what we're doing is we actually evaluate the models on all different configuration of sentences. So the way this works is that this first 2 problems have 5 sentences, and the Ellis problem have 4 sentences. So we actually shuffle the sentences in a combinator by using the combinations, and now we ask questions for each combination. Surprisingly, large language models actually struggle when the sentence configuration is different. That's why we have 120 total combinations for bumper and Marcus problem and 24 for Ellis problem. So you can actually download this reasoning test both for open source models you can use from OpenRouter. Okay, you can test any model from OpenRouter. You can test any model from Claude by using split problem parallel Claude, and you can test any model from OpenAI. And I can run the Claude version for testing Claude 3.5 Sonnet real quick, and we are going to test it on all 3 problems. I have done this previously, but I'm going to show you again. This begins. We present the test case, the total combinations, the model name, and then we initialize 24 parallel threads with utilizing the Claude unified class that I've written. You can actually use this class to build agentic workflows easily. I also have an OpenRouter unified class and OpenAI unified that you can download and use. If you want to get a decent code review on this, and if you go to my website, echohive.live, and search for reasoning, you will see all my videos that I've done using the same test. And in the earlier versions of this, such as Does It Think Better, I actually do a detailed code review in some of these, so you can take a look at that as well, as we're not going to be reviewing the code. So as you can see, it's getting quite a lot correct. And now we have gotten our second answer for the Marcus problem. It actually this time got 106. And the bumper car problem, it actually got 118 correct out of 120. And for Alice problem, it again got 2 correct, which was same. It was the same for me before as well. However, in my previous test, it actually did 112 correct on the Marcus problem. So now this is how it works. This script automatically tests any problems that you may have. It comes with 3 problem sets, but you can add your future problem sets here as well, as long as the sentence combination doesn't change the meaning of the question. The Alice problem is a hard problem I read in a paper. It's a very simple problem though. Alice has M brothers and she also has M sisters. The question is, how many sisters does Alice's brother have? And the answer should be M plus 1. But large language models do really badly on this, and the other 2 sentences are diversionary. In the paper, they call this the Alice in Wonderland plus problem. But now if you go back to our chart and unravel from my testing, I saw that Sonnet 3.5 did the bumper problem at 118, which is very respectable. The only one that did it fully was GPT-4 Turbo, and it's also about Opus in this case. And in the Marcus problem, it did 112 correct, which is the best score so far. The previous best score was Opus 107, and GPT-4 actually did only 89 correct, whereas GPT-4 Turbo did it 98 correctly. The Ellis problem, it only was able to get 2 out of 24 correct. The best one here was GPT-4o. And this problem set also comes with a system message. You can actually modify the system messages and see which system message performs and how so. So this, you can download this code file at my Patreon. This will be available for connoisseur level. It'll come with the Claude Unified, OpenAI, Open Router Unified, and OpenAI Unified uh, classes as well. And I have actually built open source chat functionality using Open Router Unified here. When you run this, actually, it'll allow you to pick a model from Open Router and actually chat with it. As you can see, I was able to achieve this in 27 lines of code using the Open Router Unified class. So next, let's take a look at Autocoder, where both the coder and the reviewer is Claude 3.5 Sonnet. I would like to take a moment to talk about the benefits of becoming a patron. As some of you may know, in the last year and a half, I've spent 3,000 hours, over 300 projects. As a patron, you will have access to all the code files so you can get inspiration and iterate quickly. Another benefit is that you'll have access to all my courses, and my most recent and most proud one, the 1000x MasterClass, teaching what I've learned on how to code fast and efficiently. Also the Streamlit course and the Fast API course. In my Patreon, I also have tiers in which you can connect with me one-on-one. Check those out as well. If you want to find out more about the code, I've already done code reviews on this in this video. You go to my website, echohive.live, and search for autocoder. This GPT-4 autocoder instructed by GPT-4 Omni and GPT-4 instructed by Opus. Sorry, GPT-4 instructs Claude 3 Opus. I already have a code review. You can download the code from there or from the link that will be in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. This autocoder has 2 modes. You can select the user guided mode here. We are going to actually use it in not user guided mode, but when you are actually using it in the user guided mode, at every turn you are able to insert instructions into this additional instructions.txt file. But for our current video, we are just going to run it with n iterations with user guided mode being turned off. You can also change the file extension here. So if you wanted to create HTML files or .py files or .js, you can change this and everything else will be automatically handled for you. Again, like we said, we're going to use Claude 3.5 to generate code and then Claude 3.5 to review it. I've actually done this. Let's actually start running this. And so we can see how this works. And then I'll show you the canvas animation situation that it created. So our prompt to it is going to be, please create the most beautiful and complex and user interactive HTML canvas animation you can think of. Okay. Actually, I've done this before, so actually let's change it. Sorry, let's say we did change the extension .py and we're instructing, please create a playable tower defense game in Pygame with multiple enemies. Don't use external file assets. And Sonnet is going to write code. And immediately after that, the reviewer Sonnet, the different system message, is going to review it. And we're going to be writing the code files here. So when I did this with an HTML canvas animation, as you can see, this was the first iteration. Let me zoom out. It was only 158 lines of code, and I have a live preview extension. You can actually install live preview extension, and when you do that, when you have a HTML file selected, you can actually click on the show preview button right up here on the top right, and it shows you the animation it has created. So this is definitely way better than before. But after the reviewer reviewed this code and gave a review, then we got to the next file, which is working file 1.html, which was 200 lines of code. So if you look at that, you can see this is probably improved because it's not so wild anymore. But when I go to working file 2.html, you can see that the complexity of the app has grown so much to 316 lines of code. It actually has sounds. I don't know if you can hear it. It says left Click touch to attract particles. You can't really see the particles very well, but the fact that there's also space bar to the first. The sound is very nice. When we go to the next iteration, this is where things started breaking down because it's outputting so much code that it's context, output context. The amount of tokens it can output, which I think is limited to 4,000 tokens, is actually limiting it from finishing the code. So this is in a way a good thing, I guess. So this started happening in every future iteration. So this was broken because output context limit then equates to about 400. This is what I found earlier too. But I went ahead and picked one, the latest one, working file 9, and I actually instructed by selecting Control A and then Control L, pretty much adding it to cursor chat and asking Claude 3.5 Sonnet complete it. I can actually show you. I said, please finish the rest of this code, and it was able to write. To finish the code, I had to copy paste these here, and then it actually had to continue again. I said continue, and then when I did that, so it resulted in 585 lines of working code, which is incredible, no errors whatsoever. And when we take a look at it, this is what it looks like. It says left click creates particles, C clears. So let's do this. So these things are attractors. It says are adds attractors. It says. As you can see, I can press space and add attractors. Right click creates a repeller, and now when I left click, it actually adds. As you can see, they're being repelled by this and attracted to the attractors. This is just pretty amazing. I mean, 600 lines of code, working code. There's also color theme, but I don't think this really works. Yeah, let's try neon and clear the particles. Yeah, maybe it does work. Yeah, the colors seem more vibrant. Pastel. Yeah, I guess it does. It does do it. So this is pretty cool. So we have actually gone ahead and generated. Oh, I must have run the code before changing the file extension. So therefore, we saved all of these as HTML. These are Python code. I'm going to just change the extension. Okay, this was user error on my part. I had changed the extension, but I had already run the script and I didn't rerun it. But just let's take a look at the first file. Let me zoom in and get rid of this real quick. First iteration was 136 lines of code. The next iteration is 200 lines of code, and the next iteration is 250 and 312, and finally 336, and it wasn't able to complete it because of the length of the lines. It ran out of its context. So let's go ahead and run the first one, see what this looks like. If some of you remember, I used to try this quite a lot earlier too, and we just couldn't get anything working with tower defense games. But here, there is no. Let's say we should have said to enter the path in our instruction, I suppose. But look, it actually thought of adding a path, and it does look nice. So we can see the health of the enemies being. Let's check out the next iteration. So actually now we have multiple enemies. This one's like a fast one. But we ready quickly. We can only place 2 towers. Okay, now we have a menu. Oh, this is nice. I don't think the towers are shooting, maybe, or they're not so powerful. Let's see what happens when the enemy gets. Okay, then we just lose a life. Okay, their health has been. That's nice. So the game is not really balanced. It's very beautiful. Is it running because it didn't complete? So here, let's add this to our chat and ask Claude to Sonnet by selecting it and say finish the rest of this code. Let's see if it'll be able to do it. Here we go. Now, at this point, all we're going to do is we're going to copy this and paste it at this point, if it is able to write it. Yeah. So just copy and paste it just from here. Doesn't seem to have any errors. Let's run. And now it has more information on the start screen. Press spacebar to start, left click to upgrade, build tower, right click, build tower 2. Okay. Oh, wow. And we can not right click, but I upgraded the first one to the second one. This is really lovely. I mean, this is remarkable. A huge congratulations to Anthropic for such a model. And this is Sonnet. They said releasing Opus later this year. I can't wait. Like I said, all these code files, both for the reasoning test and autocoder, will be available at my Patreon. I also have the, I don't think we need this, GPT-4 Opus autocoder and Opus autocoder as well. So there's some interesting options here to play around with. This also comes with the Claude Unified class and OpenAI Unified class, and also some of the examples I've done. I'll include that too. So this will be available at Architect Plus level. I'll be doing more videos on Claude Opus 3.5 Sonnet. It's really exciting, but I wanted to get this out of the way. I want to play around with it also. This is just very cool. I'm very happy and I hope you are too. Also, if you'd like to get in touch with me, maybe you need some help with some of your coding projects or you just want to talk to me, I have tiers in my Patreon with one-on-one meeting support. So take a look at those as well. If you go to my Patreon, take a look at memberships, the Virtuoso Prodigy levels. Virtuoso level offers 1 hour per month, and Prodigy offers 3 hours per month if that's something you would be interested in. But in any case, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. I would like to take a moment to talk about the benefits of becoming a patron. As some of you may know, in the last year and a half, I've spent 3,000 hours, over 300 projects. As a patron, you will have access to all the code files so you can get inspiration and iterate quickly. Another benefit is that you'll have access to all my courses. And my most recent and most proud one, the 1000x MasterClass, teaching what I've learned on how to code fast and efficiently. Also the Streamlit course and the Fast API course. In my Patreon, I also have tiers in which you can connect with me one-on-one. Check those out as well.